Okay, so let's start off with the design leaks first. So we've actually had some recent leaks posted by MobileFun of some Olexar cases, showing the design of the S9 and the S9 Plus once again. So these are actually very similar to the case leaks that we've seen from Ghosttech a while ago. And there are a few things I want to point out here. So the first one, and the biggest one, is that the bottom bezel is actually still there, it's still visible, even though this was rumored to be removed entirely. Now in the Ghosttech leak that we've seen before, this one was very, very thin. But in these Olexar cases, the bottom bezel seems to be about the same size as the top one. So both are actually much thinner than the S8 ones and the S8 Plus ones. So we do get a slightly improved design, but not that much different when it comes to the actual S8 design. So yeah, S9 design overall, and S8S design. Now on top of this, the new casing leaks also confirm another famous rumor, that of the dual camera module being present only on the Plus model of the S9 and not the smaller variant. So we can see the dual camera module being present on the S9 Plus and not the smaller S9 on pretty much all the casing leaks. Keep in mind that in those renderings, they both have the same sizes, even though obviously this won't be the case in real life. Now, besides the casing leaks that I've mentioned before, we also had another really big leak showing the back panels of the S9. So the one on the left is actually the back panel. I'm not so sure about the one on the right, because this one kind of looks like a skin or a case, but then the cutouts for the flash are actually on the left as opposed to on the right, like pretty much, you know, all the renders and all the case renderings. So also something interesting, by the way, that I want to mention here is the fact that we have the fingerprint reader in the middle. Finally, we can see this on the panels, on the back panels, on every single render. So no more awkwardly reaching to the right and smudging the camera to find it, at least I hope so. And then one more thing that I want to mention in terms of the design is that the display sizes are still the same as on the S8. So 5.8 inches for the S9 and 6.2 inches for the S9 Plus. But since the bezels are smaller, the entire phones will be actually a bit smaller than the 2017 S8 and S8 Plus models. So we even had some leaked schematics last week, which showed us the actual dimensions of the S9, and the S9 measured in at 147.63 millimeters by 58.63 by 8.41 millimeters thick. And then the S8, by the way, measured in at 148.9 by 68.1 by 8 millimeters thick. So interesting enough, the S9 is going to be both shorter, not as wide, but also thicker by 0.441 millimeters than the S8. Do you care about the phone being thicker? I personally don't, as long as the battery is increased. Let me know in the comments what's your take on this. And then we also had some leaked front glass panels for both the S9 and the S9 Plus, again showing the same design as with the case renders. So slimmed down bezels and with an even more impressive Infinity display this time. But something which I'm not sure how many of you have noticed is that the design on both the S9 models feels a bit squared off. So it's not as round as the S8 and the S8 Plus were. If you compare it with those, it kind of resembles the Note 8 design more than the S8 design. Let me know in the comments if you prefer the more rounded design of the S8 or the more squared off design of the S9. Okay, now let's talk about the specs. So we know that the S9 is going to come with the new Snapdragon 845 processor for the US models.